Welcome back to another episode of the Whatever Buddy podcast on another beautiful, sunny, palm tree kind of Whatever Buddy Wednesday. Speaking of palm trees, we got a great guest today, right off of the Monsters of Rock cruise, Ian the Golch Golcher. That's right, our guest from the inaugural episode is here to educate us about the cruise. So sit back, grab yourself some sand and a bucket and a pina colada and enjoy the show. So with no further ado, Ryan and Jonny. Hey, Harris. Hello.
Jonny
Welcome
with
back.
Jonny with the white headphones today. Looks like you're wearing a necklace.
Well, what do you call a bass? Well, I will get to that in a second. These are my in-ears. I was going to say, what do you call a bass player with a bass at real high necklace? You know, like there's dudes who just like play it really high.
Is this a joke?
Yeah, no, it's not a joke. It's a joke.
You're like, what do you call a bass player? Plays his bass really high. I'm waiting for a punchline here, dude.
It's a joke, but like I set it up as a joke like that. But like I was just saying, I find it really funny when a bass player plays a bass really high. I remember being on the road with CKY and Chad just coming up, and the bass player in one of the opening bands wore his bass really high. And he just walks up to me and he goes, "Yo, check out his necklace."
Check out his necklace.
In today's episode, everybody, we have a special guest coming back. That was a special guest. He was our first guest that we ever had on our very first episode of the Whatever Buddy podcast. Because if I'm correct, today is episode 78. The Golch was on episode 1. All right. With that being said, hello. Welcome back to the Whatever Buddy podcast. And Ryan Harris, go to
You're
town.
A professional, man. No, you're a professional. I just sit back and I watch and admire. Thanks. What I was going to say, though, is that I found a yo dummy real quick. Before we get to the Golch, I found a yo dummy that I normally probably wouldn't bring this up, but it made me think of you. So, because it's a Tesla. It's a Tesla.
I am a dummy, though. So there's two reasons.
Look at this idiot. So he's got it's a Tesla with a boot on his car.
That's amazing. I love that. That motherfucker can afford a Tesla, but not to pay his goddamn parking tickets.
Well, how expensive is it going to be to fix your car now?
Is he driving it?
He's driving with the boot on.
Wow. Why did he do that?
He screwed his car. How expensive is he going to have to like replace the whole front end of his car?
I would think you could just take the tire off and put on a new tire and you'd be golden.
Dude, have you ever bought a new tire?
Dude, you're not joking. I was at the dealership the other day. I had to get brakes and I had to get an oil change. And
spend all your money on bullshit.
That's what I'm talking about. Shit just keeps popping up. So they're like, your tire, this tire is like down to like nothing. I'm like, yeah, I know. I'm like, how much are the tires? Some guy's just rolling around like while you're waiting to check in with like checking everybody's tires. Like, I was looking at
what can I upsell? What can I upsell?
I was just looking at your tires and your tires to look a little fucked up,
Yeah.
I'm like, well, so how much are a set of new tires for my Toyota CHR? And he's like, it's like $1,150. I'm like, $1,150.
Is that for all four?
Yeah, but that's stupid.
Yeah.
Like, what are you selling me? Are they lined with gold, perhaps? Like, what the fuck?
Are they? Did you ask him?
Yeah, I did. And it did turn out that he was trying to upsell me the best tire I could possibly buy for my car. I haven't gone looking elsewhere. I really need to, but
Yeah. I mean, they're expensive though. You're probably, if you replace all four, you're going to spend $1,000 easy.
That's crazy.
But I was curious about that boot because
you just bummed me out.
Sorry, dude. Let's change the subject back to that idiot with the Tesla. I was curious as to like what requires them. Why did they put a boot on your car?
That's when you get a certain amount of unpaid parking tickets.
You have to have a minimum of 3 outstanding overdue tickets for 90 days. And then they send you letters to tell you, like, you're going to have your car booted. You're going to have your car booted.
I've been booted once.
Really? How many letters did you get? Like 5 letters? They said they sent like a bunch of letters.
Dude. But like, it's the life of a musician. You pick and choose what you're gonna pay. It's either do I buy,
it's the life of an outlaw.
do I buy a box of cup of noodles or do I pay the parking ticket? I go with the box of cup of noodles every day.
So you got a boot. How many tickets did you have?
Oh, a lot, dude. Like, I mean, I just had bad luck. This was years ago. Like, it's like LA is crazy with their parking tickets.
Well, a couple of years ago, they were like, dude, you walk inside for 30 seconds and they're on you.
That street cleaning shit, is like, it's all they're doing is rolling around, blowing the trash from one side of the street to the other. It makes no sense.
Making your car
It's kind of
dirty.
like when you used to be able to smoke in airplanes. Think about that concept for a second. It's like there's an airplane, everybody's in the same tube. Row 19's the end of the smoking section, and row 20's the beginning of the non-smoking section.
Well, restaurants were like that too. Whenever I was a kid, I was a waiter at a restaurant that had a smoking and a non-smoking section, and there was like a half wall that came up to like my chest, and that was the divider of the smoking from the non-smoking.
That's a restaurant, but I'm talking a tube. We're talking an airplane. We're on a fucking tube in an airplane. How is it that row 20 is not inhaling row 19's tube?
We're on the same side there. It just seems like we're arguing.
I know.
Yeah.
No, and the restaurant point, you got a valid point. It's like every now and again, I'm so used to not being able to smoke anywhere in public. We played a place last year twice in Hamburg, Germany, that you can smoke on the inside. And even as a guy who was a smoker for years, and even when I was a smoker, but it's fucking intense is what it is. It's just like straight up like, whoa. What the hell is going on?
You mean playing in a smoking venue like my?
And now, now that I don't smoke anymore, I now smell the smoke.
But you vape, and I realize it's not the same thing.
It doesn't smell. It doesn't smell. There's no smell to this.
Right, but so does the cigarette like bother you?
No. I actually want to smoke. But what I'm saying is, I can now. When somebody has just had a cigarette, I can smell them. Yeah. Whereas before, I just didn't realize that I was that person walking around smelling like that.
Your sense of smell was just singed.
Well, yeah, and I was just used to that smell. So, I do that the kids' music on the weekends. And back in the days of smoking, I once got a complaint for smelling like smoke. And I was just like, fucking uptight asshole, relax, But the reality of it is I used to like set up and then I would go outside. I'd puff a smoke down really fast and I'd go back in. I probably reeked terribly bad, now that I know what it smells like.
As a non-smoker that has spent significant time around you, you smelled like smoke always.
Yeah.
Also, you're my buddy, so do you. But,
Yeah. All right, so like,
acknowledging a fact.
We do a little segue here. You and I last week decided, if you smoke on an airplane, that would be smoking on an airplane. But if you smoked on a cruise ship, that'd be smoking on a cruise ship. And last week we had talked about what is the deal with all of these monsters of rock cruises or this cruise and that cruise, which is a big part why we're going to bring Golch in today, because Golch just got off the Monster of Rock cruise. And yesterday, our dear friend Candace announced that she's playing next year's rock cruise. Which is
they booked. Cool. The lineup for next year is booked already, and this year got done like a couple days ago. I thought that was like,
dude, I bet you on that cruise, we'll ask Golch, but I bet you on the cruise they were already advertising next year's lineup.
For next year. Well, they probably were, right?
Like Whackin', the day after it ends, tickets go on sale for the next year, and it sells out that day.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's like
I didn't
all
realize
of those.
It's sold out. It sells like that festival holds like 100,000 people. It sells out in a day.
Yeah, it's like the biggest metal festival in the world or something. So with that being said, I've never been on a cruise. I've been on a bunch of ferries. I've been on a ferry in very bad weather, going from England to Ireland.
It's not the same thing, bro.
Well, I know. I don't know because they seem like big boats. These ferries that go in the ocean,
Yeah.
like that are like 8 hour long ferries. Like, dude, this one ferry ride, man. Johnny Locke, our tour manager, man. He ended up. He was just like he wasn't feeling very well. That's all I'll say. He had a really rough 8 hour ride over to Ireland. It was
Oh, he
no
got
lie,
seasick.
dude. It was like up. It was
Yeah.
crazy. Before we left, they said we're running behind because of really bad weather. It's not safe to go. So then eventually they said, we have no choice. We have to go now or not go at all. So we're going
Yeah.
after a couple of hours. And we ended up going through this. Dude, it was insane.
Once motion sickness sits in, when I was younger, I used to get car sick sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes. And like once it sets in, dude, like doesn't go away until you're on like solid ground.
Another question we're going to have to ask Golch. But my question
Yeah.
is,
Well,
how much,
I've been on like a cruise ship.
how much bigger is a cruise ship than a ferry? Because a ferry is pretty big.
It's like comparing a convertible to a tour bus. It's like they're hotels on the water. They don't move. Like
No,
you don't feel
it.
Like okay, maybe once a day or something you'll feel like, oh, okay, that moved a little bit. But it's like there's none of this up and down stuff going on the ships.
So you went on a cruise. Where'd you go to?
Just like around the Caribbean. Like NASA is an island in
I went to Nassau for
Bahamas.
my senior class trip. That got me into a lot of trouble. I won $3,000 as a 17-year-old at a blackjack table playing $50 minimum tables. Me and my friend Brandon Zoltek, we each threw in $50. There was like, I had $100, he had $100. We're like, let's spend half of our money on this. We'll each throw in 50. Johnny, you go play and I'll stand behind you. I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
I'm not even old enough to be in there. I would just like go in there, win like $600, be like, oh, let me cash out, go back, win. I just got
You
real
said
lucky.
you got in trouble?
No, I didn't get in trouble. I could have.
Oh.
Because,
Yeah.
in the Bahamas, you got to be 18 to gamble. I was only 17.
Okay, I call bullshit. Not on you or any of that story, but
Like they
my
care.
experience in the Bahamas. I was 12 years old and we got off the boat, we were on the island, we were eating lunch and
Started doing coke.
no, I go up to
like,
get a drink because I'm like eating my lunch and my mom's like, "Well, why don't you go get a drink or something?" So I go up to the bar. It was the only place to get a drink. I'm 12. Johnny, I'm 12. They give me a drink. I think it's juice. I come back and I sit down and I take a sip and it's like I made a face, because I'm 12. And my mom's like, "What's wrong?" I was like, "This tastes weird." She takes a drink. They put rum in it.
That's amazing. Now, in hindsight, you like knowing what you know now, you've been like, fuck it, when in Rome.
Well, I mean, now I know what it is. But as a kid, I was like, this tastes funny.
So
Enough of this banter. Let's get to Golch, man.
let's get to the coach. But I want to dive into this a little bit. A little bit. I want to do a little bit of, I don't know if you did any research because I didn't. I'm curious, how many of these different, like I'm going on one of these cruises in June, or not June, in November. We're playing one, but it's only for a night. It's not like the Monsters of Rock cruise that goes out for like
5
the
days.
whole.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm going out, like we play on November 17th. So like we leave that morning and we're back the next morning. So it's like one of those. I don't even know how big the boat is. I hope I don't get sick. But how many of these are there? I know there's like a
Just take
Shiprock.
Dramamine. You'd be fine.
There's like Shiprock, which is like a different one. I think that's more like punk bands. Like how many? I'm gonna Google. Hey Google. See
I don't know that you're going to find an answer to that.
what would you call them?
How many rock cruises are there?
How many music cruises? Because there could be like jazz ones.
Monsters of Jazz.
Okay. Well, dude, there's a bunch of them, man. Like there's the '80s cruise, the disco cruise, the '70s rock cruise, rock legends cruise. So there's a lot of them. They're fucking endless. Now, I want to know who was the one to think of that. Who was the first person? Who was the man or woman, the first one to say, you know what, I got this idea.
Hey, John.
Why don't what?
Continue with your.
Yeah, they got this idea. Like, I want to take all of these fans of music onto a cruise, and in all the theaters and cabarets on the boat, I'm gonna have a different band playing.
Yeah.
Who thought of that?
Now, I'm not going to get mad at you. Okay. I'm not going to get mad at you. I'm in a good mood and I don't want to get mad at you.
I know what's coming.
You're on a podcast.
I know
You're on a podcast and you're asking questions that you had 2 weeks to look up. That silence is for you to think about that.
Silence is deafening.
For you to think about that. And learn, Johnny, learn from your mistake, okay?
All right, so you're going to publicly shame me.
Yes.
Okay, I appreciate that. That's nice of you.
Me too, Johnny. Or you too, whatever.
Yeah, me too. This is a hashtag me too moment on me.
Hashtag Johnny you too.
Yeah. God damn.
All right,
so,
dude.
no, really.
Golch.
Get Golch. Is he here? Did you already send him a link?
Dude. All right, so while we're waiting on Golch, I feel like I messed up.
What?
Well, like I was watching Love Island, you know? It's that British reality show. And I sort of I've been on a hiatus from it. I haven't really watched it lately. But like now Golch is coming on and I feel like I've missed an opportunity to like use my British accent, you know?
Well, you should still.
Just try.
Yeah. You know, let's give the viewers a little bit of insight of what's about to happen here. I talked to Golch for like a couple of moments before we jumped on here. Right now, it is 8 hours ahead on a Friday night in England. It's 10.
They're 8 hours ahead,
so it's like 20 to 11. I was texting with him when I got up today about the podcast. He's like, "Killer, I'm at the bars," and he's sending me like pictures of his like fucking cocktails. So then at one point I'm like, "All right, dude."
I thought you were gonna say he's sending pictures of his.
He's sending pictures of his cock. I know. So at one point I'm like, "Yo, bro, so we're probably bring you on around 2:30 or whatever." And he's like, "Oh, killer, I have time for another cocktail." So then he got home and he called me and he's just like, I'm like, "Golch, you want to do this another time?" He's like, "Ah!" So that's what we're getting. So, you know, we have a party animal on our hands.
We're gonna have a drunken Golch. We've got the Golch.
The Golch has arrived. The Golch is landing.
The Golch is entering the chat. Hey. The Golch is connecting the audio. Hey, buddy, can you hear us?
I think I can. Can you hear me?
Wow, bruv.
78 episodes. Look at the sound quality. So much better. We're not in the bathroom anymore.
This is what happens when you deal with professionals. Cheers.
Yeah. Exactly.
Cheers. Oh, I love it. Cheers. I'm on coffee. He's on energy drink, and I
have an energy drink that looks delightful.
It does. It looks like a foo-foo drink.
What are you trying to call it?
I'm drinking a little cocktail. So yeah, cheers to you both.
You know, I sense that Golch right now is holding on like for dear life because it's like the way he just answered it. He's like, "I'm drinking
embrace the buzz. Embrace the buzz, bruv.
Just roll with it, brother."
I'm doing my best. So good to see you both, by the way.
You too. So Johnny has some hard-hitting questions that, as a podcast host, he should have looked the answers up to. But since he didn't, we're going to ask you if that's okay.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's. I'm an open book. Let's.
What's the origin?
Let's lighten this up a little bit. He looks stressed as fuck over there. He's like,
yeah, man.
Can I just say for the record, Ryan, you've always been my favorite.
Oh man, I'm gonna keep that in. I'm gonna keep that in.
That hurts. That hurts.
In fact, hang on, I'm gonna show you something.
Yeah.
Obviously not for broadcast, but
it's because I have good banter.
Let's just take a quick look at my Spotify.
Oh, look at that. Golch is listening to Cherry Monroe. I dig it.
Wow.
I love it.
That's so crazy.
That makes me happy, though, man. That makes me happy. You're awesome. Thank you.
Just to fill everybody in, Golch is from England. Ryan was in Cherry Monroe from Pittsburgh. They were signed to Universal. To my knowledge, they never toured Europe.
We never did Europe, no.
We have Golch on the show. After the show's over, if I'm correct, this happened afterwards. After the show's over, I get hit up by Golch, who's like, "Hey, did Ryan play in Cherry Monroe or whatever?" And then he's like, "I happen to have that album." That's either what happened or he told us on the episode.
I sent you a picture of it or something.
Yeah, I was amazed by it. I was like, "That's so fucking weird." I think it must have been after we did the Cherry Monroe episode. Golch heard that and it was like,
I can't remember 100%, but I know I bought the I know I bought the CD, and it was around the time I was getting into like Marvelous 3, Eve
Great band.
6, a whole bunch of those
Yeah.
sort of bands, and yeah, and I loved it. It was happy coincidence.
It's so strange.
The beauty
Small
of
world.
distribution. The beauty of distribution.
Well,
If
this
we
was
didn't
before
have
Spotify and shit, so it's interesting.
Imagine what could have happened if we didn't have a shithead manager.
How did you find? Yeah, fucking don't get me started on that guy. How did you find that album back in those days? Because it's not like you're like, oh, Cherry Monroe, like you hear it on the podcast, you go to Spotify, you check it out. It ain't the case. Like, how did you even get
Good
that?
question.
Yeah, I used to go to a secondhand CD store that was online that the name of which escapes me at the moment, but will probably come back to me about 3 a.m. in the morning. And there always used to be recommendations underneath. So I'd look for CDs that were out of print that were no longer on Amazon or anywhere that I could buy them in the regular way. And I'd look for them on this site. And quite often they'd give you recommendations underneath. So I was after Math and Other Problems by Marvelous 3. I was trying to get an original copy of that. I think I got one.
Which album did you say that was?
That one's tough to find. That their first one was called Math and Other Problems.
Yeah.
Who are we talking about?
Marvelous 3.
Oh, Marvelous 3. They're doing a reunion show.
I know they are in Atlanta.
Yeah, I managed to get the vinyl, the signed vinyl. I think they did like 100, 150. And I managed to be on Facebook as the link went live and clicked on and managed to order one. A huge Marvelous 3 fan.
Awesome.
Butch Walker's a genius, you know.
Which is the album with Radio Tokyo?
That's called
Ready, Sex, Go?
Yeah,
that's the only one I have.
They did 3. To my knowledge, they did 3. It was Math on the Problems, and then what was the second? The one that you just got? Hey album.
Hey was the second one. Yeah, there's 2 versions of it, an indie version and the one that was done for a bigger label, where I think they remixed it and swapped a couple of song titles around. So
then you stumbled upon Cherry Monroe because it was like in the same area as the Marvelous 3.
Yeah, it linked at the bottom and said, if you like this, you may also like.
Oh, yeah. Were you guys on the same label?
Right? No, I bet you that recommendation came because we had a song on. I think it was like a Drake and Josh soundtrack or something, some Nickelodeon soundtrack, and Butch Walker mixed it.
Interesting.
So we come up, we come up in their recommendations sometimes.
When's there going to be a Cherry Monroe reunion show on the Monsters of Rock cruise?
Dude, I'm there
next year.
Speaking of Monsters of Rock cruise and the drinking, I would imagine, being that you just got off this thing, that your tolerance for alcohol should be at a very high level right now.
I resemble that accusation. Yeah, it's it was a good time. It's a great experience to go and do it.
However, do you drink a little bit less on the cruise because you are in fact working?
I do, because I tend not to. I don't really drink before the show. The day of a show, if we're playing, I say we're playing. Obviously, the band I work for are playing. I tend not to really drink before the show because I think a little bit of nerves, a little bit of anxiety is good to keep you focused. But that being said, we do tend to. We do tend to do a shot of vodka, a shot of whiskey, or a shot of rum before the band walks on stage. So
one of each, or one of is it? It might be one of those 3, or is it all 3 of those?
First is rum, then it's vodka.
They're just lined up.
Generally, one of those 3.
Beer chaser.
Yeah.
There's 12 shots lined up. 3 shots for each band member and Ian.
Oh, I'd be on the floor. My tolerance is bullshit.
It's good. It's good. I just always tell people never go drinking with the bass player, no matter how persuasive he is.
The bass player in general, or the bass player of Hardcore Superstar?
Bass player of Hardcore Superstar. He's amazing. He's an absolute sweetheart, but Jesus, he can drink.
So he can handle.
Is it the peer pressure type of situation where he's good at drinking and he expects you to be too?
No, he's just really lovable and sociable, and he's just a nice person, and you.
I'm sold.
A lot of people gravitate towards him, and I often tell people about we were in Japan and we were. He kept saying to me, "Tonight you have to come drinking with me, Englishman." And I finally relented and said, "Okay." And he said, "Just one, just one drink."
That's the famous last words.
Yeah. I mean, like, come on, you should have known right there. Like, I ain't going.
And in his head, he's going, "I got him."
Yeah. Oh man, we ended up in this bar. I don't even know how we found it. It was like there's no street signs. There's nothing to indicate there's a bar there. It's like I don't know, like a building that's like a multi-story building, and the second or third floor was a bar. How we found it, I've got no idea. We walked in and they were just about to close, and he said to the guy behind the bar, "One bottle of vodka, please."
One drink.
One drink. What?
That's one drink.
It's one.
Yeah. I like him.
That's
so yeah. I completely lost.
I'm gonna buy one drink. I'm gonna buy one bottle of vodka. It's one.
He won the game.
You just can't be mad at him. He's just so lovely.
Let's talk about this cruise. We've been, I did no research. I've already been shamed publicly by Ryan about this. How many cruises, music cruises? Now, you probably don't know the answer, but would you guess there are? Because there's the Monsters of Rock, which I imagine, is that the original?
I don't think it's the original. I did one in, I want to say like 2005, maybe.
Oh, shit.
That was from, there's a lot of these in Europe, but there's a lot of these especially in Scandinavia. I did one called Rock the Boat that was from, I think, Oslo down to somewhere in Denmark and back. And there was the band that I worked with, plus there was Y&T, Dokken, Kingdom Come, and that was like a 2-3 day thing. So I did that one, and I think that was 2005. And there's obviously others around the world. I mean, Monsters of Rock Cruise is clearly the biggest, and it's phenomenal. I mean, it's just.
How many days is it?
5. So I've done 2 now. So the first one left from, I think, Fort Lauderdale, and then went down into the Caribbean and back. This one left from Port Canaveral. I mean, one of the great things with this one was Steve Jackson was on it, who you've had as a guest, who is
episode number 2.
Dear friend of mine, plays drums for Chris Holmes, Heartbreak Remedy, all round fucking great guy, wonderful entertainment, but just surreal as fuck to be in the middle of the Caribbean with Steve next to me, and absolutely brilliant,
Well, you mentioned to me when we talked when you got back from the cruise that you were on the cruise for a number of days before you ever saw Steven, which I found to be fascinating. That the boat was that big, you wouldn't just cross paths at the dining room or wherever.
The boats are massive, dude. They have probably.
I've never been on.
Yeah.
Never really.
Yeah. This thing is huge. Yeah. I think there's like 15 decks to it.
I mean, Johnny, imagine like a Vegas casino, but a boat.
Like that's like a fucking high-rise building.
Yes, they're.
Yeah. Oh yeah, totally. It's
a high-rise building cruising around the ocean.
Johnny doesn't know what a boat is, man.
Dude, this ain't a fucking boat, dude. Like, I know what a boat is. I picture like a sail, maybe a speedboat. But fucking, you're talking about a hotel on the water that cruises and doesn't shake and shit.
How's it float?
Crazy.
Okay, let me put it this way: the first night.
You know what, Harris? Hold on. Stop. All right, Harris.
I'm shaming you today, man.
It's pick on Jew Boy Day. Jesus fucking Christ.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
I got the memo.
See? Fucking guys. I do know what a boat is. I know what a fucking boat is.
Hardcore Superstar was supposed to play the first night, which is what they call like Sail Away Day. But I think we got hit with a tornado or tropical storm or something. I'm sure people will correct me, but I think the 7 stages all venues throughout the boat. And Hardcore Superstar was supposed to play on the pool deck.
And so, out of those 7 stages, what is a capacity like? Like, does it start like a capacity of 100 all the way up to a few thousand, or are they all the same size?
Yeah, from like 100 or so up to, as you say, a few thousand. I think the biggest is the Royal Theatre, which is a full amphitheatre.
On a cruise ship. A full amphitheater on a fucking cruise ship.
Yeah, with a balcony.
How's it float?
This fucking I'm just having a real tough time wrapping my mind around this because I've never been on a cruise before, so I don't know.
You should do it. It's fucking amazing. It's a real trip to go and do it. The first one I did, I remember as we pulled up, I remember looking at the boat and thinking, holy shit, the size of it was overwhelming. I was a little more prepared, obviously, this time, but you still look at it and think.
How many babies do you think were conceived during this week you're at sea?
By me or other people?
Other people.
Actually, by both. Answer both questions, please.
Yeah. On the boat.
So many.
Yeah. Well, congratulations.
Okay, real question though. Like, by day 5, are you like, yeah, let's get out of here?
No.
Okay, all right then. You know, like when you go to Vegas, it's like kind of the 3-day rule. It's like, that's good, but if you stay for that one extra day, it's like, I got to get out of here.
Yeah, I'm very much that way with Vegas. I've been like half a dozen times maybe, and I yeah, you're right. Day 3, I'm like, just
day 1. I don't like Vegas. I'm not a fan. Not a fan. I don't like what it stands for. It stands for, hey, come here, and like people like, okay, if you do it responsibly, I'm sure it's fun, but like people like go there, like they lose their lives. Put that aside. Their slogan is "What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas," which is basically saying, "Come here, cheat on your spouse, and nobody's going to know about it."
And then lie.
It's just terrible. It's just
also give us more money than you expected.
Fucking evil. Anyway, back to what you were saying.
Vegas is geared around commercialism, isn't it? It's about let me get your money at every possible opportunity. Be it a casino, be it the idiots that are standing there trying to sell you timeshares or give you flyers for hookers every 10 steps. You don't get that on the boat because on the cruise, there actually is a casino on the cruise, but there's so many other things you can do. There's so many bands that are on there. I think there's like 30 bands on, and they're all bands that you want to see. The biggest problem I have on there is trying to jump between who I want to see and catching everybody. I mean,
how far is the walk? Like if you're at a festival, you know, stage 1 to stage 2 sometimes could be a really long walk. But like if you're like on the boat, you're in the main theater, you want to go see somebody in the cabaret or whatever. How long would it take?
You're literally 5 minutes or so for at worst case 5 minutes from any show. But there's elevators, so you know that makes the journey a whole lot easier. I mean, I grew up in England, and there's certain bands that I loved that never really hit England or Europe. Kicks being a great example. I was a huge
They just
fan
announced
of
their last show.
But I've seen them now 4 times because of the cruise, and to go and actually see them was a massive treat. But to see them on a cruise boat in the middle of the fucking Caribbean is just
those guys never toured.
It's such a cool setting, dude. I think just the whole. I got to do one of those. I got to do one of those. You
got to do it. I'd recommend anybody go do it. It's just brilliant.
Those guys never toured England.
I never saw them over here. I mean, they may have done 1 or 2 shows, but if they did, I missed it. I'll put my hands up if I missed it, but I don't personally recall them ever playing here because I'd have been there.
I saw the lineup of this year's Monsters of Rock cruise, and I saw that Mac Sabbath was on it. Did you see them at all?
I didn't see them this time. I saw them the time before, and they had.
I know the merch guy, Colin.
it would be such a bummer to me to have to like travel, like because to travel with gear is one thing, but then they have to take their costumes with them and everything. It's like
Well, listen, dude.
I just thought, like, man, you're going on a cruise ship, and you got to like.
Speaking of that, there's also the Kiss cruise. Let's throw that out there. But like Kiss, Mac Sabbath knew what they were signing up for when they decided to say we're going to be McDonald's characters playing fucking Black Sabbath songs. It's not like they didn't know, like, God, I got to dress up like the Hamburglar today. And the Hamburglar probably has the easiest fucking costume of them all, to be honest.
Just to be argumentative, because I like to be argumentative, Kiss has a crew that like takes their wardrobe for them, and they don't have to do it. They have to put it on is all. But like, I don't imagine Max Sabbath has a whole lot of budget for like a crew member to like carry their shit for them, you know?
I don't know how many people they
Hey, Golch, let me ask you, what's happened to Harris? All of a sudden, he needs people like carrying everything for him. It's just like, oh God, I got to carry an outfit. Jesus,
I have certain standards.
It's the fame and prestige of having a podcast.
Yeah, see, Golch gets it. Golch gets it, Johnny. Yeah. Why don't you?
Oh, I don't get it because I'm constantly shamed by this dickhead over here to my left on my screen.
Not constantly, just when you're wrong. That's all.
Can we just clarify which dickhead? Are you talking Ryan or me or both?
Both.
He's probably talking about. Okay. It's both because you said that I was your favorite.
Yeah,
absolutely.
You never told us why. Oh, because you had the Cherry Monroe. That was.
You got to sign my Cherry Monroe CDs. We got to do a night out, the three of us.
Golch, I missed you. It's not going to be another 78 episodes before you're back on this.
We got to do this. We need to do this in person, actually.
Yeah, we do.
Come on, hit me with some more questions. Come on, Johnny. You've been building me up all week.
No.
You're grill me. Let's have it.
Okay, I'll be nice. No, okay. So I'm more interested on how the thing runs. Like the person who started it, what made that guy, the guy who started Monsters of Rock Cruise, you know, like what made that dude go, all right, cool. I want to take a shit ton of people onto a cruise ship, get a bunch of bands. Like, how did this idea come to be?
It's probably the same as a festival. Like, in theory, you have to rent out festival grounds and organize the schedule of bands.
But a festival is like a thing that, like, you know, it's, I don't want to say normal, but it's like, it just seems a little bit more convenient to do it on land. Whose idea was it to say, you know what, let's take this shit onto the water?
How's it more convenient, though? Just devil's advocate. How would it be more convenient?
It doesn't move.
That's irrelevant.
It's irrelevant at all.
With music and a crowd.
Right, in one location.
On a boat.
The
only difference is that the people can't leave.
You walk in, you can see the show, you walk out, you go home. You get on a boat, it goes out into the ocean where everybody could die Titanic style if the fucker goes down. I mean, it's just all sorts of different. What are you talking about? How's it different?
Wow, that just took a turn.
No, here's what it is, Ian, is that Johnny and I are friends, but he deep down doesn't like me. He deep down doesn't like me.
Well, I think he's projecting because he's the one who's sitting here been shaming me all day.
I'm being passive aggressive.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck this guy's talking about.
Over all the episodes I've listened to, I mean, I've traveled with you guys through the whole Johnny Karen situation and seen some of the abuse that you've taken firsthand, Ryan. Yeah. And I think a lot of it's unjustified. I've got to be fair.
I agree with you 100%.
I don't know what I did to Golch today to have him up my ass. Jesus Christ.
He's even nodding as I'm saying this.
It's whenever a Karen's acting like a Karen, you're like, why is this person acting like that right now?
About?
You're not doing it right now, but just in general, life in general, it's like, why is this person acting like that right now?
Well, you know what, man? You know, you guys will appreciate this. No, you'll appreciate this. Talking about dark shit. The other day, I was hitting the weed pen at rehearsal, and I was coughing my ass off like I always do. And then it dawned on me. I was able to look into the future at my funeral, you know?
Oh,
and I
here we go.
No. I could imagine you get up and you're like, you know, anybody that know Johnny, you knew that cough, that fucking cough.
No, but on the topic, just because we're professional, you need more than anyone I know, like a cough button, like a dump button. Like when you cough, it just like mutes your mic. Here we go.
And he's muted.
See, he has his own. He has his own cough button.
Sucking on that unicorn dick he keeps sticking in his mouth.
I know. Now that he's on mute, we can talk shit about him.
Oh. Yes,
also,
definitely.
What's up with those headphones?
I can still
man?
fucking hear you, asshole.
Yeah, why you got a cord on your headphones, dude? It's 2023. Get some AirPods.
Well, back to your original question.
Thank you.
I'm not 100% sure who started the cruise. There's can I say? There's a guy called Larry Moran that I think is responsible for it and runs a lot of it. But obviously, there's a lot of other people around him that are integral to it. Why he thought of it, I don't know. But whoever thought of it, I'm really fucking glad they did, because I get to go and watch Junkyard in the middle of the fucking Caribbean and thoroughly enjoy myself.
Could you explain, because I don't think at any point during any of this, from before you came on till now, we've explained exactly what the Rock Cruise is. So, Golch, being that you've lived it and we haven't, tell us what the Rock Cruise is, the Monsters of Rock Cruise. What is it?
Yeah, it's, I'm probably
You
not
mean
the
it's
most...
a boat?
What's a boat?
What is it? Okay, it is essentially, it's 5 days at sea, cruising around the Caribbean on a Royal Caribbean boat that is fucking ridiculously huge.
Is that a big cruise line? Royal Caribbean?
I think Royal Caribbean is the biggest.
On a typical cruise, you stop at islands and you can get off the boat and get back on. Does that happen here too?
It does, yeah. You have...
Is there music when you get off, or is it music only on the boat?
Yeah, there's a bit of both, really. I mean, okay, so in a nutshell, it's a 5-day cruise. You have 2 ports that you dock at. The first time I did it was Cozumel and Belize. The one I've just done was Labadee, which I think is Haiti, and then Puerto Plata, which is Dominican Republic. But I may have got those the wrong way around. From the minute you set off, there's normally a sail away band that plays as you leave wherever that you leave from, be it Miami, be it Fort Lauderdale, be it...
is that on land or the boat itself?
It's on the boat, but they do have an event the night before, a pre-cruise event where bands tend to play. So you set off, you go into the water, and it all starts from the minute you start sailing. And you have around 30 bands on the boat, and they play twice each over the 5 days. When you dock at a location, be it Labadee, for example, a Swedish band called Eclipse, who, if you haven't heard them, it's a fantastic band. Great songwriters and great musicians. They played an acoustic set on the beach, literally, in Haiti, and that was... I mean, you're just not going to experience things like this.
Yeah, it's cool. It's just like a unique at every corner.
And
which bands played the warm-up party the night before?
I think Eclipse actually did it as well. There was a few bands that played, but I wasn't there for it. I flew in because of other commitments. I flew in on the Friday. I arrived in Orlando on the Friday night, met up with Hardcore Superstar at the airport. We went to the hotel, and then first thing the next morning, we went straight to the boat, and then we left from there.
How many sets? They played 2 sets as well?
Yeah, we played 2 sets. We were due to play the first night on the pool stage, but because we got hit by a tornado or a tropical storm, whatever it was categorized as, we got bumped to the second night, so they arranged for us to play what was called Studio B, which is a fantastic venue on the boat. We played that the second night, and I think we went on like 1:30 in the morning, but they killed it.
Party.
I mean, yeah, everyone's into it, It's
people all right, 1:30 in the morning is late, but you're on a cruise. Is it like Vegas on the cruise where people are just up all night partying?
Yeah, 100%. And people are into it massively. I saw people that I'd seen on the previous cruise I did.
The first one was in 2012. I did just do a little research on the fly.
There you go. Yeah. So I think this was the 10th one, because I think they'd slipped a year because of COVID. I met people again on this cruise that I'd met 3 years ago when Hardcore did it in 2020.
So you were on a cruise ship right before COVID. You know how lucky you are you weren't one of those people who got stuck on a cruise ship for like a month?
Yeah. I think we talked about
that.
Did we talk about that?
I think we talked about it. It was like,
I have a really good friend who shit, it sounds like a name drop, but I've a good friend called Alex Kane, who's a LA musician originally from Chicago, was in one of the greatest bands ever, Life, Sex and Death. And he's also played for Shark Island, Enough's Enough. He was, I think, a founder member of Enough's Enough. I love the guy, absolutely love the guy to the bits, and he's a monster guitar player. Alex and I were talking about the fact that, holy shit, we literally left the cruise, and as we left the cruise, COVID stopped the world.
If you were on a cruise ship, dude, people on a cruise ship, yeah, they were like docked like a mile out off of land, like and had to stay and had to stay in the room. They weren't even allowed to leave their fucking rooms. Imagine if you were one of those rooms that were on the inside without a balcony.
I can't even begin to imagine what that must have been like for people. All I can speak to is the way Masters of Rock Cruise is run, and it's run amazingly. It's brilliant. I'd recommend it to. I'm not employed by Masters of Rock Cruise by any means, but I would recommend it to anyone.
The running of the cruise itself, is it Royal Caribbean who is making the operation run smoothly, or is it the people from Monsters of Rock organization making it run smoothly?
I think it's a mixture of both, but I think the stage managers, I think they're brought in specifically by Masters of Rock Cruise, and
but the functionality is the cruise line, like the catering and
what about the food?
And all that.
Let's talk about the food. That's a question my dad, God rest his soul, would have asked. Tell me about the food. What kind of food they have on this boat?
It's great. I mean, there's a number of restaurants that you can pay to go into. On this one, there was a Jamie Oliver's Italian restaurant. There was a sushi restaurant. There's a number of ones you can pay to go into, but there's I think it's called Windjammer, that is the main sort of like buffet style restaurant that's free to all the people on the cruise, and the selection on there is massive. You know, there's breakfast, lunch, and dinner. There's a couple of times a day when it's shut, obviously, to restock and to cook, but the selection's fantastic. You know, whatever you want for breakfast, be it cereal, be it bacon, eggs, be it hash browns, be it sausage, be it fruit, be it pancakes.
English breakfast? English breakfast? What was that? The thing with the beans and all the stuff, and all the piled on just too much food on one plate?
I don't remember seeing beans.
Ryan, you got to do that with an English accent. Do it with an English accent.
Yeah. So I can't, dude. I gotta get an English accent.
Then. Come on.
Yeah,
you're about to do it. Come on.
I was surprised to see that. I went to look some things up, before this, and they already had next year's lineup, announced and set and everything. That's kind of surprising.
Right now, all I see is everything from this year and past years.
Here, I'll pull it up.
That's
next year we got
so
Darkness, Rad,
There's
Ace
a few more
Frehley,
bands been announced since then, but yeah.
Our friend Candace is playing next year from Warner Drive. Candace is in a new band.
Crazy Licks going back.
Crazy Licks.
They were there last year, I think.
So pleased they're doing it, and there's so many of the people on the cruise have really took to Crazy Licks. Great live band, obviously, but I'd love to go next year. I'd love to go because Accept, absolutely, I adore Accept. So if Hardcore Superstar get announced for next year, then shit, I'm gonna do everything I can to make sure.
So, did you say Accept, like the band, like
the balls to the wall?
Yeah, but like that, does it not bother you that Udo isn't the singer?
I love
kind of like the choir boys without Spike is weird.
Two different things. I think Mark Tonillo for Accept does a fucking hell of a job. He's
also been in the band for like 30 years probably. But
if you see them with Mark, that guy's amazing. Let's be honest. But Udo's amazing as well. So
he does his own thing though. You can see both.
Yeah. Exactly.
What if they've ever played together or like on the same bill, Udo and Accept?
Oh, I'm sure, probably. Cool. Udo's son is the drummer of his band.
Yeah, we played with them where?
Dithmarscher Rock Festival.
Yeah, Germany.
Germany. And then when we saw Queen when we played Sweden Rock, they were playing, and Queen.
Oh, Udo was on Sweden Rock Festival.
Yeah, remember with Adam
cool.
Lambert and Roger Taylor's son was the other drummer on stage, and you didn't know that until they did a drum solo, and they're like, my son.
Roger Taylor's son's the drummer in the Darkness now.
Yeah,
I was just going to say that. Yeah,
I was just going to say that too. And for who else?
No, I was just saying he's doing Roger Taylor's son, who Ryan says is he's the drummer in the Darkness. The Darkness are playing the next Monsters of Rock cruise.
Yeah.
Radness.
Rufus.
Love that.
Right?
Love that.
Isn't that his name?
Yeah.
Speaking of the cruise, it's time to wrap it up. And anybody on the cruise, hopefully they did that, and they're not going to have a baby in 9 months. And all right. Thank you for listening to another episode of the What Everybody podcast. And we had the Golch back, thank God. He helped me, or at least I thought he was going to be my savior, but he ended up taking Ryan's side. Remember to like, subscribe, and report. Report the Golch, report Harris as friends that aren't acting like fucking friends right now. And God bless. We'll see you guys next time here on the What Everybody podcast.
See you next time. Golch, I like you better than Johnny too, Golch. See ya.